Welcome to JMR Talks. Today we will discuss about how the manager role evolved over a period of time, and in the current environment, what should be the role of a manager. Now, who is a manager? Manager is someone who coordinates the activities of all his team members in accomplishing the given task as such. So, what are the basic managerial functions a manager performs? Like planning, organizing, staffing, directing, controlling. In fact, some people, raise a question as to, since the basic purpose of a manager is what called coordination, but these managerial functions, they do not mention anywhere coordination. Now, the answer is coordination is the what called essence of management. It forms the DNA of what called manager as such. So, hence, there is no need to what called mention coordination as one of the managerial function as such. Now, what makes the what called a manager role what called important or key? Gallup, sometime back, has done a what called a detailed study as to what makes a great manager, or what makes a great place to work, where people will what called love to what called give their best. So, after detailed what called study, they found that outstanding performance of the organization depends on outstanding performance of the people, because all other factors are either available, accessible, or affordable. Now, this outstanding performance of the people in turn depends on how strong and vibrant the work environment is, in creating which the manager plays a what I call key role. Now, some of us might be wondering as to why the emphasis on what I call outstanding. Why can't we simply say the performance of an organization? Outstanding because in a VUCA environment of today, the volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous, ordinary efforts will not do. In a competitive world of today, the organization has to what I call get the best. That's okay, fine. So, having emphasized the key role of a manager, subsequently, are there any misgivings, misperceptions about the role of a manager or the importance of a manager? Yes. Google, in its early phase of Project Oxygen, somewhere in 2002, they formed a hypothesis that managers what do not matter as much. The quality of manager is what not that important. Engineers will do. So as a result, they have gone for a flat organization. But what happened? There was virtual chaos because employees did not find any direct direction as such. There was no one to what set the direction or to what direct them. Then Google undertook a detailed study about the traits and what the behaviors of best managers as such as a manager has to be a coach, he has to be a very good communicator, he must strive for an inclusive team, etc. You can find the 10 best traits or qualities of a good manager or a best manager. That's fine. Now, did the role of a manager change over a period of time? Yes. Earlier, the focus was on what knowledge. Today, the focus has to be learning. In fact, I say that learning, unlearning, and relearning has to be the practicing mantra. What a manager learns, he must be willing to unlearn when he starts interacting with his team members. And at the same time, he must be willing to relearn as such. Now, secondly, gone are those days when a manager used to be a control freak, getting the things done. Today, he has to delegate. Of course, he has to, use his discretion in delegating, like, certain things which, his subordinates can do, he could delegate. Certain things they can do where they need his direction also, he can delegate and continue to monitor. And there are certain things which only he has to do. Number one. Next one is that till you become a manager, the success is all about growing yourself. But once you become a manager, the success is all about growing others. The next is he should be innovative rather than repetitive. Things are changing. Customers' tastes are changing. Customers' preferences are changing. So, are you coming with what are called new methods of what are called doing the things? The next is he has to be proactive rather than authoritative. He should not, what I call, wait, let me cross the bridge when it comes. He must be in a position to what I call, initiate the things in a proactive manner, not as what I call reactive manner. Now, some of the managers, they think that their job is to what I call solve the problems. But we must remember that one need not know everything. Sometimes it so happens that some of his subordinates or associates know better about a particular thing rather than a manager. So what a manager should do, instead of being a problem solver wherein people will be always looking forward to him to solve the problem, he must challenge the people so that they come with what I call innovative solutions as such. Now nowadays what's happening is that the emphasis is more on giving constructive feedback. In the traditional performance appraisal, the focus was more on finding fault with the person. But subsequently, the companies have switched over to periodical feedback system wherein the managers start giving constructive feedback. That means not only telling them about the inadequacies in their performance, but also suggesting how they could work on improve. But okay, is it the job of only a manager to what I call just to point out? Is it not what I call his job is to what I call enable them, empower them, encourage them, energize them? That's the reason nowadays lot of emphasis is being laid on manager's role as a coach. When one of his teammates is struggling with performance related issues, he has to what I call enable them to overcome them. Like a cricket coach, the way he helps a struggling batsman or a struggling bowler. Now what more? Now recently Microsoft observed that the managers must look at employees as what I call crops. In other words, the way a farmer, what I call tenders, looks after his crops, his paddy as well. A manager has to what I call look after his employees also. Dr. Shauri Kuttappa, in one of his recent LinkedIn posts, he has what I call called out nicely what a farmer does. He strengthens what I call the plants. He plants them well. He looks after their growth, nurture. He removes impediment, etc. And he gives a lot of attention to the what I call details. And not only that, after doing all these things, he also takes time to what I call smell the roses. In other words, he looks at his garden, how they are what I call shaping, how they are growing, and so that in between, if he has to take any action, what I call he takes it. So a manager also has to pay the kind of attention which a farmer pays to what I call his crops. We are dealing with what I call human machines, a complex machine who's capable of what I call thinking, who's capable of what I call displaying his emotions and all that. So a manager has to continuously strive to get as many key insights about his employees' behavior as possible, so that accordingly he could what I call inspire them, he could what I call motivate them. In fact, I keep telling my students that a manager must possess what I call the trust. Trust, I call it is like a Kohinoor diamond. Now what do you mean by trust? I mean trust is what I call three kinds of what I call trust: communication trust, contractual trust, competency trust. Communication trust, that means whether his employees can take his what I call communication seriously in letter and spirit. Contractual trust, the promises what I call he makes while extracting the performance, does he fulfill them? And last but not the least, what I call competency trust. A manager who is not competent to resolve the issues of the people in work related issues will not command respect as such. And Dr. T.V. Rao sir says that a manager has to work 24/7, 365 days on what I call building culture, commitment, and what I call competency. There's an excellent book which I would like to share with you all, titled Mission to Manage, wherein Mariana Page what I call details how a manager could what I call handle effective people's management. According to her, a best manager or a good manager or a great manager, number one, has to be a leader. The one who leads from the front, being authentic, being inspiring. The secondly is what I call he must be motivating them, inspiring them to do their best. The third one is a coordinator. Yes, he is the one who synchronizes the efforts of all his teammates and associates in accomplishing the job. The next one is what I call a manager as a coach. Nowadays, lot of emphasis is what I call being laid on manager's role as a coach. When his employees, when his team members are struggling with performance related issues, he must what I call coach them to overcome the same. And last but not the least, a manager has to be a mentor. In other words, he must help the people to fulfill their potential. A good manager finds satisfaction in helping the people to be productive rather than being the most productive person what I call in the team. So in a competitive environment of today, manager must strive on a continuous basis to understand his people's needs and accordingly take what are the required steps to inspire them so that they are engaged, they are energized, they are what are empowered and encouraged to give their best. We have seen in the case in the case of Gallup findings, what is the role of what I call a manager. Manager continues to be what I call a key role in creating an environment where people would like to come and give their best. So let's hope that the young managers will understand their key role and accordingly do all that they can to energize their people, to encourage their people by taking care of their what I call physical health and mental health so that they give their best. Thank you.